if I'm not hearing about Jeff Okudah, I'm okay with it.
Jeff Hamilton, number 2 overall. This is why you deserve to get punched in the face. I'm sorry. The rules are only making it more difficult for these secondary players. Get over it. There is no shutdown corner.
Even Jalen Ramsey gets burned. And I'm glad you brought that up.
Burnt? They get murdered.
It was burnt toast. I mean, that was...
He had a perfect passer rating against him on Thursday night.
So
158.3. And it's tough because this is a game about business, performance, and availability. And the performance on Sunday was good. Jeff Okudah comes out and has, I would say, a good game. It was just good.
Yeah.
And going into the year, the conversation we had is, hey, man, stay healthy and just stack good performances. That's all you can ask for out of this kid. Can he be a shutdown corner? Way too early for me. Way too early.
And I agree with that. I think saying he's going to be a shutdown corner is a little exaggerated. I mean, the guy was drafted 3rd overall. I get from where he was drafted, you expect him to be a shutdown corner. But the reality is, I always compare it to like Killian Hayes for the Pistons. Like, you have to get over this narrative of where he was drafted. And I get Neil brings up the financial side and what he's getting paid, and that's definitely important because you're paying him, you know, like to be a shutdown corner. 3rd overall pick, was he making like $9 million, $10 million? But for Jeff Okudah, watching him against the Philadelphia Eagles, watching him against Devontae Smith didn't have a catch. I get some plays, especially in the run game. His run defense, he struggled a little bit, but again, like, that's the things you're expecting out of Jeff. You're expecting him to build on these performances. To be honest with you, I didn't expect him to have as good of a game as he did coming out. I mean, to have his Achilles injury he suffered and to now be out most of last season, having this whole offseason, and then right away facing the Eagles, who have a very good wide receiver core, including Dallas Goedert at tight end, I thought he'd struggle, but he kind of did the opposite. I get he wasn't perfect, but he was damn good. I mean, he played 67, I believe, snaps on defense. And for a guy who he sat out 9 plays and he sat out the play with cramps that Will Harris had that ball caught over him by A.J. Brown. But I think the big thing for Jeff Okudah this year is just to stay healthy. I mean, the hardest thing for especially a guy like Jeff Okudah is you need reps. And that was one thing he just hasn't been able to do. I get he struggled when he's played, but the fact that he hasn't even been able to build on performances. If this year, I really believe he'll play 15 at least games. I think he'll be available for a majority of the season. I really do have faith in that. And if he is, he's going to have a significant role in the secondary. He's going to be playing in the opposite side of Ermanni Oruwariye, and he's going to have a lot of challenges throughout the season of guys he's going to be facing. So he's going to have plenty of opportunity. It's just about building on these performances. I'm not looking at the stats, although you'd like to see him turn the ball over. I'm really looking at Jeff staying healthy, and can he not – because we always say this, if you're not hearing about your corners, it's a good thing. If I'm not hearing about Jeff Okudah, I'm okay with it. Because all we had to hear about when he played last year or the year prior is blown plays or him losing assignments or guys making plays on Jeff Okudah. Like, that stuff you want to get past. You don't want Jeff to be a liability. Because you saw even against Philly, like, Jalen Hurts would look in Jeff's direction and look the other direction. Like, he would make Jalen turn away from him. And that's something you haven't never seen out of Jeff Okudah. So that's something you could take out of it. I thought there was a lot of things that, were positive. If you go back and watch the film, there were a couple things that he messed up on. But again, he's not going to have a perfect game. His first game back from an Achilles injury. So a lot of good things to take away at him. But the biggest thing this year for me is, can he stay healthy? That's really the only thing I have. Because if he's healthy, he can be coached. He can play a full season under Aaron Glenn. He can have that mentorship. It's harder to coach a guy when he's sitting on the sidelines in a cast or he's not on the field. So that's it for me. If he can just build on these performances, he's going to be just fine.
I thought it was a good performance, like you said. He helped the team tremendously with his tackling. A few of his tackles, I believe he had one on A.J. Brown at the line of scrimmage. Devontae Smith, 4 targets, I believe, 0 receptions. Also, on top of that, against Jeff Okudah, Jalen Hurts, if you really go back, watch back the game. When he's looking at Devontae Smith, these are the plays we never talk about, right? Because you'll talk about Jeff Okudah when the ball is thrown his way and it's a pass deflection or it's an incomplete pass and you see him tight on coverage. Jalen Hurts essentially just stopped throwing the ball his way. Now, granted, A.J. Brown was absolutely eating them up. Dallas Goedert the same way. And then, of course, the run game was working. That is not ideal. But, I would say he blew 1 tackle. And that was about it. That's all I really got from the game with Jeff. That's not a bad thing. I thought he had a good game. I think it's a hell of a way to start the season for a guy who really has probably had one of the worst scenarios you could ask for coming out of your career, to start as a top pick in an NFL draft. To come out, not be able to play much your first year, not play at all your second year after the first game. It's tough. You have 10 career games, now 11 on your plate. You're not even a full rookie season in yet. And it's tough because this is a game about business, performance, and availability. And the performance on Sunday was good. It was good. He costs a lot of money. Yes, he does. He was the 3rd overall pick in an NFL draft.
Right.
Are you going to pick up his 5th-year option, etc.? We'll get to that later. But right now, 1 good game and 1 star. There's 16 games left. I hope it continues. It'll be good for this football team.
An NFL Draft Junkie says even Jalen Ramsey gets burned. And I'm glad you brought that up.
Burnt? They get murdered.
It was burnt toast. I mean, that was...
He had a perfect passer rating against him on Thursday night.
So
158.3.
So I think people get wrapped up, and I'm glad you brought that up, by the way, NFL Draft Junkie, because people get wrapped up in a lot of things like, oh, well, Jeff's getting burnt. He's doing this. Like, people don't understand how hard it is to play in today's NFL, the cornerback position, because even you could be one of the best corners in the league, you could still get burnt. It's just about making tackles, like he did against the Eagles. So that's something you can look at and he can build on. But for Jeff, the only thing is, for him, to get the reps he needs, to get the experience he needs, it's just staying healthy. And if he could do just that, because I don't want to see Will Harris on the field. I'm sorry, Will Harris, but when you stepped on that field, A.J. Brown made a big play. So if we can keep Jeff on the field, it's gonna do good things for the secondary. Because last year, I think they missed him in a way too. I mean, you had guys like Jerry Jacobs. You had guys like A.J. Parker stepped in as undrafted free agents. Excuse me. Why can't Jeff have success?
And I think as long as you understand, he's not going to be a Darrelle Revis, Nnamdi Asomugha,
right.
Patrick Surtain, Champ Bailey, Ty Law, Asante Samuel for a few years with the New England Patriots. He's not going to be. That does not exist anymore. And I hope Thursday night was a perfect iteration of it. It was actually. Jalen Ramsey gave up a perfect passer rating, 158.3. 11 of 12, I believe. 144 yards, 2 touchdowns. He gave up on passes thrown his way. And he almost gave up another touchdown to Stephon Diggs in the red zone, but the ball was just too hot. Diggs didn't get his head up in time. It's impossible to be a shutdown corner. The Rams would have lost the Super Bowl if it wasn't for their defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Because he got burnt on the biggest play of the game. And you know why? You know why I sit up here and I ridicule you guys and I call you a bunch of idiots? It's not because I don't like you. But when you tell me, Jeff Hamilton, number 2 overall, this is why you deserve to get punched in the face. I'm sorry. You're not taking a corner or a safety number 2 overall. They will never give you the value that you can get at that position. Whether it's a pass rusher or a quarterback. That is what you do. Or a generational tackle, which you already took at number 7 the year before. It's not hard, guys.
Right.
This is a passing league. The rules are only making it more difficult for these secondary players. Get over it. There is no shutdown corner. Bye-bye. The league has moved on from that. There's no 1,800-yard rushers anymore. Granted, you get a few every now and then, but you're not running the ball 350, 400 times now like a Priest Holmes, a Jamal Lewis, Clinton Portis, where it's so consistent every year. It's not. It's changed. The league has changed.
It has. And I'm glad you brought up the defensive line because that's important too. Like the more, and it was actually impressive to me that they didn't really pressure Jalen Hurts. And he still played pretty good. So imagine if this defensive line is able to get to the quarterback and get QB pressures, disrupt plays. It's going to make Jeff's job, Ermanni's job, Tracy's job a lot easier. So a lot of good things you could take away from that Week 1 game. And I'm excited to see him against teams like Washington. I'm just mentioning Washington because we play them next. But other teams that you're going to be able to get to the quarterback. Because I think Jeff's going to have a pretty good season. He just has to stay healthy. Again, I keep repeating that.
Look at Derek
that's the
Stingley's
biggest
first game. It was pretty good.
Right. You know.
But you took him number 3 overall. Is Houston ever going to reap the rewards of that pick? He'll be gone by the time they're even ready to compete. Honestly, no, this is like I really mean this.
Yeah.
They take him number 3 overall. You think I'm not laughing at them the way we laughed at Jeff Okudah being taken by this shitty organization a few years ago?
Because Sauce was making plays.
It doesn't matter if they make plays. TJ Watt wins you games. Here, there's a fun stat in the NFL, and it is the approximate value rating for for players' value to a team. And if I go over, and if I I'm struggling to find the year by year other seasons. Here we go. So in 2022, all right, Jeff. I don't know why this isn't loading. Give me 1 second. All right, it's not loading. Long story short, if I remember it correctly, the last time I read it, since the year 2000, how many secondary players have finished with the highest approximate value rating in the NFL? I think 3 or 4.
Right.
Could be 5. In a 22, 23-year window. A handful. The rest, they're quarterbacks and they're defensive linemen. That's it. Cut and dry. The league's changing. It's making it even more difficult, but I think Okudah's going to be fine. I think it was a good first game. So, Adam, would you say that getting Charger J.C. Jackson isn't worth it? No, I didn't say that. J.C. Jackson's a good corner. Would you draft J.C. Jackson with the 2nd overall pick? That's the question. No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't.
Would the Chargers take him or Joey Bosa?
Take
or Khalil Mack? You know, it's
Khalil Mack 3 sacks in the first game for the
so
Chargers.
I get where you're going with it. It's not
all I'm trying to say here is, can we just throw away shutdown corner from Jeff Okudah?
Yeah, it's just
he will have shutdown moments. I mean, he was basically shut down on Devontae Smith.
Yeah, he shut him down.
He shut him down literally. So you can do it, but please understand, in today's league, it is the most difficult position to play outside of quarterback.
No question.
So if Jeff Okudah just turns out to be a good Pro Bowl corner and has maybe a few All-Pro seasons, my goodness, that pick looks a lot better. You'll take it.
It's better than saying
but one game, he played well.
Yeah.
There's 16 more games. Hopefully he stays healthy and can continue. It's that simple.